Good morning and welcome to today's live show. I'm sorry that I missed out on a lot of things going on yesterday, but it seems like whenever I have a chill couple of weeks, the next week I'm not going to have a chill week. So something bad ended up happening and it's unfortunate. But we have the market doing market things. We have this going to extremely low levels. We now have the SPY outside of the monthly expected move and the Qs outside of the monthly expected move. So I wanted to just let you guys know that I've started to build a position for a positive move for the SPY over the next month and a half. I just started to build that position because I think this is a great risk to reward play. And even if I'm wrong, I can end up managing that risk at some point. But this is the area where I want to start building some kind of position at this point, while understanding that this can go lower, right? We don't have much going on in here. So if we're not able to hold up in these areas, we can head down to that 540 level pretty quickly. So I'm aware of that, but in these areas, I think risk to reward looks okay to try to take place. So that's what I'm going to go do from this time forward, is look at building that position over time here. Now, not a lot, right? I have a certain amount of money that I'm willing to put in now, then a certain amount of money I'm willing to put in with a reversal signal. Then I might have a certain amount of money that I'm willing to put in after we see a break above 576. I think you at least got to break above 576 to get to 584.81. And if you can see that, then we might be heading up towards these levels up in here, which would be fantastic. 597.50 for the SPY would be great, but we do not have the reversal signals at this point. You have to take that into consideration, that this now might need to make another signal just like it had right before it wiped it out, right? So it wiped it out, went down to that weekly expected move. We have updated daily expected moves for today: 571.37 to the upside, 549.79 to the downside. Very interesting that we still have a bunch of implied volatility on the daily scale. Something I will be looking for is if we see some kind of thing like this and then implied volatility actually drops. If implied volatility actually drops and we make some kind of shape in this area, it would mean something crazy could be a little bit more possible. And we've seen extreme levels of implied volatility. So that is something that I'm paying attention to at this moment. And I'm glad that someone actually pointed out NVIDIA, because NVIDIA, everyone talking like this is absolutely terrible, everything's crashing. Remember that one time? I'm going to remind you guys of something here as NVIDIA confirms a reversal signal this morning in the next 24 minutes, if that prints. I want to remind you guys of something. If you remember the time where people had almost this type of mentality, it was right here. And we actually showed off that put volume levels to show that right around this level, I think it was one day before, we had one more big drop and then we V-shaped. I think you're very close at those moments now. You're seeing the similar signal. Now, why on this channel were we like, hey, I'm sus about this dip? Well, one, because we had the dollar dropping. Look at this, the dollar's dropping this time. Two, we saw that people were getting very bearish. Hey, the put volume's at extreme highs right now. Okay, people are pretty bearish. We knew we were in a time of extreme fear and greed. So are we still in a time of fear and greed, right? And this is what I'm going off of in order to possibly assume that bigger position over time here at these levels. Looking for still if we have to go down to 540, but you're now at a level of about 14. You've been in extreme fear for almost 2 weeks. Okay, so this is the time where I want to be paying attention. Now, what else did we use over here in order to see if this was going to catch some kind of bounce? We actually used NVIDIA back here. Do you guys remember us using NVIDIA back at these times around August 5th? NVIDIA showed the reversal signal while the SPY did not. And we said NVIDIA is such a huge stock that we need to be paying attention to it. Well, once again, we have one of those moments where this thing is just screaming down, down, down. Yes, it is very likely, and we need to be very aware if there is some kind of dead cat bounce, right? We bounce up and fail, right? Really have to pay attention to that. But for the time being, are we going to catch a bounce here? Because NVIDIA right now is showing that it's still holding this right here. It's still holding that divergence point flat. It is still showing 2-hour signals as well, right? We see these 2-hour signals if they would pop up. There you go, 2-hour signals as well. So this is the exact same thing we saw during that low from the past, and now you're getting these things to confirm at the same time on the 30-minute and the 2-hour scale. This potentially can be it right now if we're going to behave like we did in the past, right? this can be the similar thing. Pay attention to NVIDIA, pay attention to how strong this move is, and then we can look at the differences, right? If this is going to behave like the past, and this is some dramatic drop to get people very, very fearful, but we can look at those individual stocks. We can see reversal signals from Amazon. We still see the ones from Meta. We still see the ones from NVIDIA. It's a lot of things still showing those reversal signals at this point. It's just not in the indices at this moment, so we have to take it carefully in the indice. But I think you're at a moment that's similar to this one where you could see one more big drop, but just be watching out, because I think eventually you're going to get some kind of pop. Now, whether that's a dead cat or whether that's actually to go to a new all-time high, we will find out. Your monthly expected move is here. So by the end of the month, you are below this. You're at a new weekly expected move. This is something that I like to buy at this point. So I'm going to start to build that position over time here over the next couple of days. Potentially even today on something like NVIDIA or something like that. I mean, NVIDIA looks too good not to be looking at, and it's similar to the last time. So if it's going to behave differently, then NVIDIA most likely will have to fail those signals. But you can see that this was, everyone was bearish. It was pretty quick to the downside. It was about, I think, a 9% move, maybe something like that. Yeah, 9.5%. We come over here, we're at about, I believe we're at about 10%, 9.5%. So this is where I really want to be paying attention, because we're outside of the monthly expected move, we're at a weekly expected move, and NVIDIA has reversal signals just like we did over here. We have the dollar dropping down with really high put volume at this moment, and we've been in extreme fear for a couple of weeks almost straight. So this is where I will really start to pay attention. I want everyone to have their head on a swivel, right? Because we need to understand that this does not have good basing out signals, and maybe the more trade setup is actually with NVIDIA. Right now, we have data coming out in 20 minutes. Remember, this week had volatility in it for a reason. That volatility is here because we still get data, and we will get the JOLTS job openings in a moment here. We will get CPI tomorrow. We will get PPI the next day. We will get Michigan consumer sentiment the next day, right? So we have a lot going on at the same time, but we can just notice we're at the buy zone. We're pretty much at the most critical level. This has sold off a little bit more than I thought, but for NVIDIA, really this buy zone is something we're attracted to. We know that once we lose these type of levels, right, we see that pop up and reject again, that you're very likely to see kind of all of this in here struggle to hold you up. You don't really have much in there. So down in this zone would be very nice. We come down to the zone, we make a bunch of divergence, we hold the divergence the entire way pretty much, and hey, boom to the upside. You see it on the 2 hour as well, right? So we're chilling on it. Now the Qs, like I said, guys, if you didn't know, my car was broken into. Someone tried to hotwire my car yesterday, and that is why my wife was freaking out. She was a little bit scared, so we kind of just had to, you know, have a day with wifey to make sure she was chilled out. Everything's good. A police report filed. We got cameras and stuff for people and all that good stuff. I don't think they were able to do too much damage, which is a good thing, but it did shake up my day, and I was kind of angry that it shook up my day because so much is happening in this market and we're hitting key levels. So I was able to make a decision towards the end of the day to start a position in case something big starts to happen because of those NVIDIA signals and the SPY dropping down, kind of like it did in the past, with the dollar turning down, with people always buying puts. It looks like a recipe for a trap, in my opinion. That does not mean I'm not going to treat a curl down seriously, right? Even if this 30-minute curls up, I understand we don't have those reversals. I understand NVIDIA could take this thing higher, but I just want to be aware that this could fail again and do something like this. We could see the SPY go all the way up and fail and end up turning all the way down to 540 before this thing can bounce again. So it can get worse, but most likely the signals will tell me when it is going to get worse from these areas, at least from that 5-day moving average, which lies right around our daily expected move. For the Qs, the daily expected move, I don't know if I read these off yet, kind of out of whack here because of yesterday. 483.92 to the upside, 461.54 to the downside. Still very big implied volatility. This would more so mean we actually would like that next drop down, and we would like the implied volatility to drop. That would be fantastic, but we'll see if that's able to take place. As of right now, volatility, the VIX, very important to see if this is going to subside. The 2-hour signal that we are paying attention to, you still have it on the RSI and you still have it here on the MACD. The signal that we were talking about yesterday morning was the fact that if this 2-hour cross, you actually do have that divergence point. And if you look back on this RSI, you're going, oh, we have a little divergence here, and we hold that little divergence to here, right? We do not exceed those levels at this moment. We'll see if that's able to take place, but we can see how volatility is starting to become weak, almost like it's coiling up again, right? We're holding these levels down here, but we're getting tighter moves in the upside. So we are getting tighter with volatility. So this most likely has a resolution in it somewhere. We just have to pay attention if that resolution is going to be positive for volatility or negative, and that'll give us a little hint of what the SPY is overall thinking about doing in these areas. But we do get data in about 16 minutes. Looking for people to get very bearish. I mean, at least in the PCC, I really don't think I've seen that too much in the PCC. You're also holding all the divergence for the 2-hour chart now, except for the initial one, so that's worrisome, but you really don't want to drop lower than here unless it's just to make a 30-minute divergence, so we'll be watching. But something we might want to pay more attention to, what I'll be keeping up on my other screen, is some NVIDIA stuff. I think NVIDIA is very important to watch right now. See if that's able to confirm on a 2-hour after we get data. That would be a big deal. All right, let me read through some chat here. Pablo, and you can. So during weeks like this where you have extreme volatility, you can get snaps. You can see both sides tagged. So we'll see, right? We saw that actually in these areas, right? I believe we tagged the weekly and tagged a weekly, right? At these times. So we'll see. We tagged it twice in 1 week during that time, I believe. Thoughts on Meta? Yeah, Meta is one that I'm still looking at. I think Meta has reversal signals. I mean, look at the 30-minute chart. This is something I wanted to show off this morning, so thank you for bringing up Meta. This right here. 30-minute divergence is there. These things can be complex. That's why we're like bear market. You have to be very quick with it, but understand if the reversal signal is still there, the trade could still be on. Your timing could just be a little bit off. Now, this still is down, so we want to see if that needs another curl down. We want to see if that needs to curl down again, but this is the area where we want to start looking at Meta, and that's just the truth of it. That's where we said we were going to look at it. Now we're looking at it. Now we're forming reversal signals, and let's go boom to the upside if we can. You look at the 2-hour and you're going, yeah, we violated the divergence. We violated the divergence here. But what happened on your RSI? This is why I said most of the time I'm going to believe more in an RSI divergence over a MACD once it starts to get funky. And we'll notice that, look at this RSI. Wow, how perfect can it get? This looks like Meta is trying to make the floor today, right? We'll see if that's able to take place on the 2-hour. The 2-hour is suggesting if it curls up, we can see a floor today. But it is far away from the center line. So we're always going to be aware. Look at the environment you're in. You're in an extreme selling environment where if you get some kind of rip, people are selling that rip. If you get some kind of rip, people are selling that rip. If you get some kind of rip and this curls down, what should you assume is going to happen based on what's been happening this entire time? Well, if you get a rip and that rip starts to sell off and you confirm things down, it is going to go lower. That, or at least to the low and maybe make a new one, right? So it's an environment where we could see this thing rip to the upside, but we're aware of the environment at this moment that says, hey, watch for those rips to the upside, but watch if those rips fail, okay? That's how I'm treating the market at this point, starting to build that position and just chilling. I don't think Meta looks that bad. Like, I don't. That RSI is just telling me, hey, don't sleep on Meta. It can make a better one, right? It can make it on the MACD and RSI at the same time, right, if it wants to, but this is a reversal signal. People are very bearish. The only thing that's throwing me for a loop is we still have a lot of data this week, but NVIDIA is producing here, so I can't complain. XLF is another one. Financials, seeing some very interesting thing. Financials here. You're seeing that super downside, right? Just all down, all down, all down. The 2-hour here is the main thing though. Because I did look at this morning and I looked at XLF and I go, okay, the 2-hour does not show any reversal signals really. I mean, you have a very, very tight 30-minute probably divergence here. So you do have 30-minute, and look at that thing on the RSI. It doesn't look very good. So financials might have more of the dead cat bounce kind of vibe, which is very interesting. So that's where we just look at, JP Morgan, something we pay attention to. And look at this. It wiped out the signals. So once it wipes out the signals, okay, this looks bad. But for me at this point, I'm going, this is outside of a monthly. We're going down to a weekly again. We broke the weekly last week. We tagged the weekly this week to the downside already. We don't have reversal signals. But maybe instead of JP Morgan, I more so want to be building the NVIDIA position. Maybe that's the choice I have to make over the next 24 hours. Maybe this one is more so, hey, it needs to see some kind of reversal signal. It needs to see some kind of basing out in some way before I can make that decision again, right, for JP Morgan. So very interesting for JP Morgan, very interesting. MAGS, you want to look at MAGS, right? MAGS does not have the reversals really well on the 30-minute. We can see that right here. But if you pull out to a 2-hour, you're going, hey, if that crossed up, I'd be happy, right? I mean, look at this RSI again. Boom, 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 boom. We did not violate it here, didn't violate it here, didn't violate it here. If we curl up right here, this could be a reversal signal for MAGS. Isn't that crazy? Now, looking out, you have extreme bullishness coming in for the PCC. That is very, very unexpected and makes me worried about starting to build that position that I already did. But we'll see. We kind of want that sentiment to change. Now, if that sentiment changes and people go very, very bullish and we see this curl down, we still have to be aware you're in a rip around kind of market, okay? But people are getting some big calls in there, 0.67, very, very much so to the call side today. We were paying attention to the housing sector. The housing sector showing some interesting things, right, on the daily scale here, confirming divergence. We'll see if that's able to produce some upside. Volatility of volatility, seeing a nice little gap up here. 2-hour skying up, right? Almost violating the divergence point. So we'll pay attention to that. But right now, look at volatility. If that curls down on a 2-hour, it has a reversal signal in it. Pay attention because NVIDIA has a reversal signal that says, I want to go up. So a lot of things out there, at least from some big stocks, we have some hints. A lot of them are saying we're extremely oversold. And then some of them are saying, big ones like Meta, Amazon, NVIDIA, big ones like that, they're saying, hey, we have reversal signals to go up now. So, you got to be thinking of what's best to do with your money. But for me, I think risk to reward here looks like, hey, I can take, I can build a position for the SPY to potentially hit something like 585 over the next month or two. And that position would make a lot of sense. Even for dead cat bounce, even for full recovery, I just feel like this level here of 585 makes a lot of sense for the SPY. Yep, jolts will be coming out soon. Is it close to the bottom? With these type of signals, if we're not going to keep experiencing something bad, right? It seems like whenever we catch a bounce, there's always a piece of bad news, and they're just using tariffs for the most part for that narrative. And it is something to look into. So people are hitting that sell button because of it. But at this point, you're kind of just going, this is potentially like within a day of bottoming, right? We have to see how it plays out. There's always ways for it to take more time, right? We're aware of that. But for the most part, this looks like we are really, really close to a bottom now. This move especially gets people nice and fearful. We were kind of open to these extra moves because people were getting a little bit not as put heavy as we thought in these areas. But now we're seeing people take calls this morning. It's very interesting. So to clear it up, it looks like we are approaching a bottom, but the environment we're in, if that bottom does then fail again, you want to watch out, because if you see a 2-hour move up and a 2-hour reject, you have a big opportunity to go down to 540, okay? That big flush out type moment. Now, we're already down about 10%. I highly doubt that, Wall Street or whoever wants the market to go down this far. Or farther than this, because then you start to open the door to some big sells. So I would think I'm paying attention to a base now, if not at 540 later on. But other than that, I just have to pay attention and see if this does reverse around. This does give me those confirmations that I can put a little more money behind. This does not fail, and then I can have a better assessment with the daily scale of like, hey, okay, we didn't do the 2-hour thing and fail. We actually curled up the daily chart. And then maybe on Friday, right? Maybe towards Friday, we're in these levels. And then we have a new weekly expected move up here. We trail up to that weekly expected move. And then we look for that resistance to come in case we need a higher low. Or this is going to be a daily lower high, right? We're going to look at the positioning of the MACD if these moves even come at that point, right? We're still aware of the environment we're in, but it looks like in these areas, and we've said this, really, we've mainly been saying like, yes, 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 wait for those reversal signals. Hey, this looks like NVIDIA, we're going to see that drop down. Once we get to that monthly expected move, this is where I start to really go, okay, now we're starting to see something interesting. This is where I started to go, okay, the risk to reward for the end of the month this month is looking pretty good to the upside, right? The risk right now is low percentage, right? Especially until we get that bounce. Right? Until we get some kind of bounce and then curl down, then it becomes okay, we're heading down in the charts, but your percentages overall would say this moving lower from here is very low percentage, and you are very likely, even with a big drop, to see a V shape by the end of the month. So pretty confident with this at this point. We'll see what's going to happen, but I think NVIDIA is just a good example of something that's holding those divergences, and this one has the chance to really give you that reversal, in my opinion. Like this it looks great. You're getting buying to increase. You see the volume there increasing a little bit. That's pretty nice. Dave, you still leaning towards that rally? We were, you know, Dave was really shouting all-time highs when we made the first reversal signal, right? It made sense to potentially be looking for those bounces here, be looking for those bounces here. Down here, you're waiting for it. Right here, you're going okay, right? So there were areas to pay attention for bounces for sure. And those are the times where you do want to be watching, because that can be where you start to see some big upside. You just want to be aware that if that fails, you have to be quick with it. Yeah, the structurally for the SPY, you look like garbage. Just structurally for the SPY itself, you do not look good. Still possible on 50-50. I'm kind of leaning towards lower high. The signals are suggesting I should lean towards a lower high, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to let my thinking come in. I'm just going to let the charts tell me exactly what I should be paying attention to. And for the SPY on a daily chart, it says lower high for now until we see how it's building up throughout that move, if we even get the daily to turn up. Here we go. Okay, so we have 4 minutes until some data comes out this morning. Now, normally we like to see reversal signals around here. Okay, so the only reason that I'm saying I'm potentially, you know, grabbing some dip here is just because NVIDIA has the reversal signals, right? NVIDIA has those signals. So if we need to make those for the SPY and the Qs, you might see some kind of rip around behavior like this, and that would be very interesting. But that second curl down, I'm just very worried about 540 at that point. The market's gonna fly soon, says 5 Star. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do another one of our polls, huh? Maybe we should do our daily poll and see how people are thinking. Oh wait, I have to go here. I always like slightly forget, like for 1 second. All right, let's see. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Make sure to hit that like button as you're coming in so we can get more people to check out what's going on as we approach that weekly expected move this week. Yes, we are drawing down a little bit further than I really wanted us to. I really thought these levels here were great for us, but there's always a way to move a little bit lower, right? At least we have a data point to pay attention to this week for it. All right, let's see. SPY, does it close green or red? Let's do it. Red first. Green second. All right, let's see what you guys are thinking. 3 minutes until data. We will have that pulled up on my other screen here. I expect Powell will be dovish next for FOMC. can really give us a big rally. Something that I think Powell could do to cause big rally might be like just resume the cutting at the lower rates, right? If he increases, it's a remind. Let me think of it. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Let me look it up before I talk about it. I want to make sure. I have to look into it more. I don't have enough to discuss it right now. Damn it. Thought I did enough, but I don't feel comfortable. I need to make sure. The other thing about NVIDIA, Patreon members. I would like Patreon members to come in here and maybe help some people out. Do the opposite of what a vote, Bernie. Okay, Brian, and we'll look at IWM. IWM actually showing some of the worst behavior we've seen, which is crazy because isn't it crazy? Once you remember, if you wipe out those reversal signals, it can be distributed down. So that's why you really want to pay attention to the management of the trade. But Patreon members, if you want to help out the chat and tell us where NVIDIA is as far as that low coming in, maybe it would help some people out in the chat, but that's up to them to tell you. What about IWM though? Let's go check on it real quick. We don't have those levels up for IWM at the moment, but if I update that level, you might be able to see some interesting things. So let's go update it right now anyway. We're almost halfway through the week here. Let's see. Can you head lower for IWM? The answer is yes. Now you want to ask yourself a serious question though. Are the purple lines really important? Yes, but those shift every single week. There is something right here that if you join Patreon, you might have a yellow line, okay? But there is something interesting here, and that's the fact that the 2 hour actually still looks good, like really good for IWM. So structurally, this looks like a massive downward move with liquidity being built in between, and it's starting to slow down. The selling is slowing here, and look at that 2 hour. If that thing crosses back up, you're holding all the divergence on your MACD. You have that, or you have the one divergence on your MACD, you have triple divergence holding on the RSI. So if the 2 hour is able to produce here, it says that IWM could make that base now and turn to the upside. Now, we want to seriously pay attention to here. If you're talking dead cat bounce, this is a perfect area to drop from. If you're going to see a better dead cat bounce, then this area of 222 would be a good area to drop from. If you're going to see this thing recover, ultimately, you need to get back above 230, 50, 230 in order to see good upside. All right, data this morning comes out in now. Data coming out right now. All right, let's go see. As of right now, the JOLTS job openings coming in at 7.74 million JOLTS job openings. So we'll see how that's able to affect the market, right? We're okay with whatever this data point wants to be. It's more so about, do we confirm reversal signals after, or do we reject them? Do we make a reversal signal after and then curl up at the end of the day, right? Those are things that we're going to be paying attention to now that we actually have that data point. The main thing to be watching at all times during this moment is going to be, well, our yellow and our purple lines for sure, but also the price action. The price action is going to be very important, right? If we, by the end of, this week, are not taking back this area, that is going to mean that we are still in a risky time, even if we see a move back into this, right? Even if we see a move back into this by Friday, hey, you can drop down one more time if we're not able to get back above this, what is that, 585, 584? I think you really want to get above that. At least go test it. At least go test it, see that big pullback with some data maybe, and then see that turn back down. So we'll see if that's able to happen. But right now that data is not showing to be anything good at the moment. And what I want to see is how it's affecting NVIDIA. NVIDIA just confirmed the 30-minute, so this would tell us that if the 15-minute crossed down, this would be a bad thing. So we can leave NVIDIA on a 15-minute and just say, okay, we had the divergence, we're going up to the 5. Once again, if we sell off from that and this 15-minute crosses, it's very likely then that the 30-minute is going to cross, and you might even see a little bit lower price than this one. Very, very nice as people went dramatically to the call side early on this morning. Very interesting. Crazy market. God, I love crazy markets, though. Crazy markets are the most fun. Economy is clearly weak. And where's Kevin? He was dovish late 24 when inflation was at 3%. Why would he be now expected 3.2? Because he is trying to manipulate you for sure. The thing that you have to understand is, okay, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. We'll use a different example to kind of explain why the Fed would overall want to trick you, or not necessarily want to trick you, but trick you because it's the best thing for their job and for their legacy, if you will, right? He still might be seriously attempting to make this a soft landing, but the mistakes are already there. The economy is already showing the weakness. The unemployment is going to increase, and we are going to most likely see some bad things. Now, this could leak out into 2026 for this particular reason. So if you hire scientists, I know it's completely left field. If you hire scientists and that research is done with grants given by the government, so the government is immediately going to give your lab $1 billion a year to find research on a certain thing, like say climate change. Well, then the data that you produce, the government says we want to see evidence of climate change. So you would therefore, if you didn't even have evidence of climate change, you would create and point the science to climate change. Why? So that you can continue to get the money. Okay, so this might be just a situation of someone wanting to keep their position, wanting to keep their job. And that's how I see it at this point. I go, I do not think that I'm smarter than Jerome Powell. Someone has said that before. I don't think I'm smarter than him. I think he sees everything that we see. I just think he sees, this is going to be very bad. I don't want it to be my fault, so I'm going to try to make this go as long as possible. That's kind of how I see it, and I think he's too smart to realize, to not realize that this is a bad recipe. He's too smart to realize this is not a bad recipe. Okay, he knows. And I think kicking the can's the best way to put it, maybe, Richard, right? Kick that can down the road. Next guy, hopefully he's a Republican. That's how it works. That's how it always works. At least since I'm only 33. I've been through a few presidents. What I notice is, besides Bush was, kind of probably a money launderer too. But for the most part, it's like, okay, so one president comes in, spends a shitload on stuff we don't need to spend on, and everyone thinks life's amazing because you're living in a lie. Then the Republican comes in and gives you the truth, and we go into recession. And the thing is, the recession is going to be a pain to get through, but at the same time, you want it, right? You want your life to get better. Well, then you need deflation. Like if you don't want to continue paying $9 for eggs every single year, or that's bird flu, so maybe not that one, but maybe you realize that some of the Democrat policies in some cities actually have it in your electric bill to pay other people's electric bill that do not pay their bill. That is a real thing. Like those type of things don't need to happen. If you want to be in a standpoint where people can afford their energy bill, well, you're potentially going to need to see deflation. You're going to need people consuming less energy, most likely, and starting to focus on the important things. But MSTR, yeah, we have MSTR. Obviously, MSTR is not being happy lately, and that makes total sense, right? But is it making a floor at the 200-day moving average? Look at MSTR. You know I'm not a fan of this stock, but I will talk about what's going on in the signals regardless. You have a potential for double bottom. If this daily just curls up, you have potential for double bottom. That means that reaction could potentially even take you all the way up to around 400. Now you have to see if that's going to prove. You're in a very volatile time, but a good signal for that would be the 2-hour. Notice that. This is the most significant 2-hour divergence you're probably ever going to see in your life. So if this 2-hour crosses up, it means, hey, the trade might be on. If the daily crosses up, that trade might be on a little longer. But if that would cross up on a 30-minute and reject from that gap fill, then that trade most likely would be failing. Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is, I want to, like, the thing is, if we knew who the top 10 holders, like if we knew directly exactly, yeah, Fred, thank you so much for asking. MSTR was a very interesting one. I was checking that out as it was forming towards the end of the day yesterday. So thank you for pointing that out. You guys are great because you know I have ADHD. So thank you guys for just shouting out stocks sometimes. And yeah, I think you're seeing some of those signals, and that might be why you're asking. But that 2-hour, you don't see that often, Fred. Okay, so if that can produce, that's a pretty damn good signal. Markets having an update, and Trump announces more tariffs just now. Exactly, you're going to keep seeing that. Here's the thing. So if you treat this like human behavior, then eventually if you keep getting told the same thing, it's going to mean less and less to you. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. The first time he cries wolf, oh my God, there's a wolf. Oh, there's no wolf. The second time he cries wolf, I don't know if there, oh my God, there is a wolf. Oh my God, oh no, there's no wolf. And then the third time he cries wolf, you're going, no, that's not it. And I think you're about to be at that point where people start to not believe the boy who cried wolf, aka people are going to get desensitized to the word tariff soon, right? I think they will be slightly desensitized to the word tariff soon, and you're going to see potentially a tariff piece of news come out and the market actually bottoms. Because eventually it will be priced in to the point of the numbers that he's giving at this moment. Now here you take. Yeah, like that one, Nick. Like that one. Now, if I say that word, though, Google or whoever the hell owns YouTube, right? YouTube's going to put a big thing at the bottom. One time I just said, I think I said the V word once. I didn't see Kevin. I'm not really looking at the news right now. I really want to focus on stocks, like the charts, because I haven't been able to look at them for like 24 hours pretty much. I was able to take a good look this morning and a little bit last night. That's how I was able to formulate the NVIDIA idea and the NVIDIA comparison to back in these times, right? I believe it was this time. If you want, we can go back to NVIDIA and just make sure. Let's go make sure that it is these times. What was it, August 5th, right? Yeah, it was August 5th. So we'll see here. This was August 5th. And this is when we were saying everyone's going to get caught off guard. Look at, and it actually is 2 hour. Okay, great. So you'll notice that this bar came lower, but it's going to measure from this right here. And we noticed this. This is what we saw, and we said, ooh, this could be huge. And then we actually saw the 30-minute divergence here. And when that crossed up, boom, to the upside. And you notice that was August 8th, just 3 days later. Just a few days later, right? So pretty crazy, but this right here was the signal that told us, hey, this could potentially rocket. And that helped us out a lot. We saw these reversal signals and we go, if NVIDIA has big reversal signals, it's very unlikely for the SPY to completely collapse if those signals confirm. Okay, now we know that, and we come back over to here, right? And we go, okay, well, it's gonna be very hard for the SPY to collapse if, and the Qs to collapse if NVIDIA is confirming the signal and saying, hey, yeah, I'm gonna see an uptrend for a while. So it's very difficult for the SPY or the Qs to go down dramatically if NVIDIA at least is going up. Maybe they hold up better and other things sell off, but you also have things from Meta, you also have things from Amazon. So that's what we looked at in the past, and it really helped us out. And at that time, we had a very low dollar. We had the dollar coming down while the market was coming down. You're seeing that at the same time right now. Very nice. But you just don't have those reverse signals from the SPY, and you didn't have them last time. More on Canada. The Canada thing is so dumb to me. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand Canada's strategy. Hi, we're going to put reciprocal tariffs, which is a reciprocal tariff just means whatever you are tariffing us, we are going to tariff you. Okay, then we're raising the tariff. Because, okay, then the reciprocal tariff will adjust. Okay, well, then we'll raise it more. Okay, then the reciprocal tariff will adjust. I mean, this is just fairness. Like, hey, Browsy, thanks for subscribing today. But if something's changed with the Canada situation, and I love that it's Kenyatta. Good old J. Cole, good old Kenyatta. But yeah, if it changes, let me know. But for the time being, if it's not anything different than reciprocal, then I don't get it. And 75% of their revenue or whatever from their exports or whatever come from the U.S. So it's just like, at least that's the data point I read like when this all first started. So I don't know if that's even. I might need to look into that more, but I'm just a guy who looks at charts. Yes, there is about 100K. It's over 100K per. Do you want to see it? Do you guys want to see that debt clock? I haven't looked at it in forever. Let's go look. Let's go look at the debt clock. There is a Doge section now. So here's your debt clock. You see the Doge clock. So now savings is, oh, sick, guys. We've saved $1,676. That's so sick. Oh my God, that's dope. Holy crap. That's really cool. Now, where's the per citizen thing? That's local debt. Oh God, I haven't looked at this in forever. It's changed so much. What the hell? Debt per citizen? Local debt, that is. Tax revenue, national debt, debt per citizen, per citizen. Sorry, it used to be over here, I think. 107, 107,000. Debt per actual taxpayer, though, 323,000. 323,000. All right, holy shit. Yeah, this bounce is going to be weak. The Blorlac, this is a situation that you run into a lot in super volatile times. If you didn't see this talk that we just gave about the SPY and how we used NVIDIA to find a bottom, we literally did it like maybe 5-10 minutes ago. If you're just showing up, that is a good thing to watch because it shows how the SPY can bottom without reversal signals. We still want to be very open to things curling down, right? This is not curled up. This is a lackluster bounce, but you are outside of the... All of your percentages are pretty much pointing this way for the rest of the week, but that doesn't mean I can take some kind of YOLO play. Now, at this moment, I think risk to reward starts to come in, so I might be scraping up some stuff, but that might be something that actually has a reversal signal that has confirmed. Don't take it for granted. NVIDIA has confirmed, right? So this is the signal I was looking for NVIDIA, and it happened in the first 30 minutes. That's great. And now I just have to sit here and go, hey, if that 15-minute rolls down, though, it's bad. Right? Very simple. Same trading style, just realizing where you're at, and there could be a bottom, and what thing could be bottom, could be saying you're bottoming is, I think NVIDIA, I think Amazon, and I think Meta are saying we're going to attempt to bottom today, or at least in the next 24 hours. That's what I think's going on here. If it fails to do that, then we will see this thing most likely, right? Every single time you see a big sell come in, what happens first? Something kind of bullish, right? Something kind of bullish, big sell. Something kind of bullish, big sell. Something a little bullish, big sell. Something kind of bullish, oh, big sell. Something bullish, big sell, right? So what would most likely happen before we see more downside? Yeah, most likely some kind of bounce, and then you see a big sell. So if we're seeing that bounce take us and do something different, what would that different thing be? The different thing would be confidently taking back the 5, right? Not seeing a reversal signal once we try to take back the 5. I mean, really just take this for what it is. Look at the 5 coming down, you're below it. You know when you usually see positivity? When you get back above it very confidently, you don't keep losing it, right? Even this was more rip around, I think, but when you actually start to take it back, right? Down, 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 take it back. Oh, fail, take it back. Where you go? We're going, right? We're looking for the time where something different happens, right? And where that different thing could happen is with potential for NVIDIA to do it first, right? NVIDIA to do something different. Look at NVIDIA, same thing. Ooh. Was this confidently taking it back? No. Was this? No, you haven't taken it back yet, but there's a signal underneath it that says we might try to right now, right? We're probable to attempt to take back that 5. So that's all I have to do is watch that 15-minute. But if this 30-minute just goes like this, and then goes like this, and then goes like this, we're probably heading to the upside, and we're probably going to keep seeing these little lips happen in these areas. If we want to build back, if we don't just V-shape, right? So I don't think you straight up V-shaped last time, right? We saw that reaction up, got another reaction up, then we all started to take that back. So we're looking for good behavior here. You have good signals, so I'm paying attention to them. And you're closer to the center line now, right? This signal was down here. We still saw something good. Now you're really close to the center line, so if you see something good, it can be real good. And we get more data tomorrow. Still aware these things can fail, right? Volatility still turning up now on a 30-minute. We'll watch out for a little move like this, right? We're just looking for those little moves. We're outside of a monthly, so getting a reversal signal here was very nice, but we failed it, so now we might need to make another one. Thanks and good morning. What up, Blorlag? Hey, happy to have you here again, Blorlag. Sorry I had to get off early yesterday, but, you know, I've never had my car broken into, like, ever. I'm very diligent about locking, keeping it in a safe place, doing that. And we actually sold my car when we moved back here from Georgia. So I'm potentially going to be in the car market soon, as the car market's starting to throw up a little bit. But I might wait some time because it's not necessary right now, right? I'm someone who really likes to save as much as possible, right? I do not try to spend more than I take in. So I'm waiting for that car market to look nice for me. But from Georgia to here, I genuinely have never really had too big problems with the car, and I've never been broken into in my life. And then I get broken into and someone tries to hotwire my car. Holy crap, that's crazy. And I was like, can you even hotwire this car? But apparently the car we have is specifically targeted by those type of people. The car that my wife's car is specifically targeted by those people, apparently. Did you take your AR-15 outside? No. I'll tell you guys the story because it's kind of interesting. So our neighbor actually has a camera on the parking lot because she apparently experienced something like this at the last place she lived, so she always puts a camera on her parking lot. And that camera actually caught the guys trying to mess with her car, and then they came over to ours. Kias and Hyundais, yeah. Good old Hyundai. Where do you live? We live in Kansas. The area we live in is super weird about pit bulls and huskies, and since I have both, it's very hard to find a place. So this place was very hard. I actually really enjoy it. But apparently they have some problems every once in a while with some sketchy people coming in, which you can say that about anywhere, right? My mom lives in like a $400,000 house. Her neighborhood gets 3 robberies a week. And it's just because the weather's getting nice. Isn't that funny? Psychology always comes back in. Psychology always comes back in, right? Why do you think theft goes down around winter? Because it's cold. Yeah, so we have she has an older Hyundai with a key start, yeah. Turn key start, sorry. My husky doesn't talk a lot. He's a mix. I call him a husky because that's what he looks like. He looks like a big orange. He looks like a huge Shiba Inu. All right, what stocks? Hey guys, okay. We can talk more about this later, but what's something else that we should be paying attention to? Is there anything else you guys think we should be watching? I mean, we do have some data, and we might want to be seeing how the 10-year yield is reacting to that data. We might want to see if the 10-year yield does have reversal signals, once again getting support at our 4.168, coming down to this level, looking for a possible right shoulder. This would be very interesting to get this right shoulder and then see this actually produce downside. So something here we'll be looking for reactions. The dollar, we're going to be looking if that is climbing and the market is climbing at the same time. Some interesting things happening there. I've been wondering about this guy over here. JPY USD has been climbing. Looks like it could eventually see some kind of pullback. we are starting to see those divergences come in. So this means the dollar could have a little turnaround coming soon. Notice that we were able to go above the high. So this might be a quick reaction down, right? We could just retest in these areas, maybe retest the breakout, the previous really good breakout, which I think was right in here, actually. So this level I'm going to pay attention to for this JPY USD. Just a random point, but I think we need to be talking about markets a lot today. Husky sing when you sing. Yeah, mine doesn't sing. He's pretty quiet. He had to be quiet, like, because actually, he didn't really have to be quiet. Because I had my own house back in the day. That was before my wife, but when I got him, you know, he's like 7 now, I think. How's the home builders holding up? That's right. We should be looking at HGX and paying attention to what's going on here. 30-minute divergence at the high, suggesting that the 2-hour can turn down, right? We see the 30-minute divergence suggesting a 2-hour to pull back. Now, at this time, that would mean we can make a lower low, right? If we notice here, I want you to see the MACD. Okay, that's awesome. It's holding every point. That's great. The only problem is the RSI is not. The RSI wiped it out. So when the RSI wipes it out, you always have that opportunity. And I would say I mostly try to think like if one of them is not holding, I'm always paying attention to the risk of a drop to make another divergence point. So now you're at risk of seeing this. I think you're at serious risk of seeing this and actually getting that move on the RSI. Now you can hold up, you can get a higher low, right? But we are so close to the center line that we more so want to pay attention to a test of the low and maybe making a new one. If it holds up better, that's awesome. But we want to be in store for this to potentially drop down pretty significantly, which would suggest that the SPY could make another drop down as well. So you don't necessarily want this to be happening right now, in my opinion. I don't think we want to read into it for like, hey, the market's going to do exactly what the housing sector does, because that's just not been happening, right? But we can read into it like this is still weak, right? We probably need this to get stronger in order to head to the upside. And here's the thing about the data we get this week, even if it points towards inflation a little bit, guys, or something like that, it really is going to depend if people are more fearful of inflation or more fearful of recession. AMC, yeah, we can go update AMC. VIX starting to pop off a little bit here, right? So you seeing that curl up. So, you know, we'll look for a little 30-minute divergence or something. But as far as AMC and GME go, looks good, right? That 30-minute curls up. Looks like the trade's back on. The 2 hours already confirmed up. And you have daily divergence and 2-hour divergence. If you notice here, you have these lows, right? From this point right here down. You see that. What's the MACD doing? Yeah, it's pointing up. What's the RSI doing? Yeah, it's pointing up. And the signal's confirming. Now, this can easily see a move like this to 317, fail that move, and then see something like that later to make it on both indicators at the same time. But something I like to do is look at GME, right? And GME is just falling off to a point where it really needs to bounce from before you lose that divergence. So GME a little risky. This is why in my video 2 days ago, I was more so just saying, look at the daily chart. If I cross up on the daily chart, then for me, the play might be on. And I might even be willing to take that play early because usually when I do take an AMC option, it is 1 to 3 months out. So I have a lot of time to see something crazy because that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to risk enough money to hurt myself. I'm just risking little bits of money to be like, hey, at some point, if this thing went to $20, I would love to have a $50,000 day, you know? You know, turn $500 into $50,000 real quick if you see some kind of mega squeeze here. I'm like, yeah, I think it's worth, you know, I think it's worth $500 to attempt it. As long as my other trades, right, as long as I'm profitable overall and it makes sense that I can just like waste $500, that's kind of how I look at it. Very nice daily divergence though, building liquidity at the low. I don't mind it at all if that daily curls up. I'm potentially even taking that early if like a 30-minute curls up, you know, that's just how I'm looking at it. And the thing with me and all of my AMC plays, yes, I do sell them sometimes. Yes, I do hold them sometimes. Yes, I let them completely fail sometimes and lose all the money. But the point of this is I'm never going to use an amount of money that's really, really large, right? I still have my overall investment in AMC sitting there, right? Now my cost average is definitely above this. My cost average, I believe, is around $4 because I've just been holding that thing, right, with the actual stock. But the option play might be on soon, so I might look into that. Crazy. Don't mind it though. So yeah, the 30-minute has not even confirmed up. We potentially could look at little 5-minute charts for fun here, see if that 5 minutes able to turn back up. But as of right now, 5-minute pointing in a certain direction. Where would that be? 30-minute never crossed up for the potential reversal here. NVIDIA, is it failing the signal, right? So that's where I pull up the 15 and I go, might be failing the signal. Maybe it's just going for a quick dip into here. Maybe it's not, right? IWM just keeps falling off, man. It's falling off again. You do have reversal signals here. You do still have a complex one, I would say. Maybe you would call it multiple point, but the 2-hour divergence still looks nice. I just want to see if that's curling up at any time. Because you only violated one right here. So as long as we keep this one, I'm probably pretty happy with it. But we know that IWM can head lower to 197.31. Oh, baby girl's about to go to nap time. JP Morgan, yeah, JP Morgan's another one, down 1.4%. This one does not have the reversal signals anymore. This might just be the risk to reward play. For this one, because I have an extended out option, I'm actually dabbling in potentially just like adding some to cost average it and seeing if it comes back. Right, adding some that I'm like, okay, I know I took a smaller play with it. Okay, now I'm going to take maybe a little bit more to see if I can get a snapback and maybe just break even real quick because the trade went very wrong here. But you are at some very important levels for the week for JP Morgan. And everything looks like it's going to base out. So I'm not even selling my losers yet, just in case. End of the month, Samson. No, that's why I don't really pay attention to moving averages and expect things to hold up. Okay, this is why I wanted to look at a 5-minute actually. Because the selling that comes in from these bounces is very down. So I'm not necessarily seeing the same selling just yet. We are not seeing that flush out and only seeing red bars, right? We're seeing actually this hold like, hey, we might do this. So we'll see. Now, if you lose this level, you might see that flush moment down to that 549.79. But I want to see if this whips back up sometime. Exactly, Samson. That's kind of all I'm looking for. And actually, if it did that, I would actually make money, which is nice for me. I'm down with that. So think about cost averaging in just a little bit. Not expecting it to go perfectly, to be totally honest. That's kind of how bear markets are some of the time. I've had bear market trades that have been extremely negative with a huge gap down, and then 2 days later they're plus 80%. So I'm just I think the money amounts you use, the actual position size, is something important to understand in a bear market, because you want to be like, hey, you can make really good money in a bear market, so that means I can taper back the amount that I risk. AMC contracts, I probably like 2 months out. Usually it's 1 month if I'm being greedy, right, Jonathan? Usually it's like if I have a really good month and I see a reversal signal from AMC, I'll just do it with 1 month, right? But normally it's 1 or 2 months out. But I think anything that's extended is good. I mean, if you're attempting the play, as long as I'm seeing confirmation, I'm comfortable as long as it's extended by at least 1 month. NVIDIA is in a critical situation right now. You are pointing out the fact that you have major reversal signals for NVIDIA while the market doesn't, which is something that we've seen before. We have to make sure it's going to happen the same, right? We have to make sure these things are actually going to turn up. It would suggest that a lot of the probabilities right now with our monthly expected moves and where NVIDIA is right now is a whole nother story, right? Just the price that NVIDIA is at right now. I don't think anyone on that's a part of Patreon wanted to tell you guys what NVIDIA is at right now. But that's fine. Maybe they want to keep it close to their chest. Wholly oversold, I know. Now, the recovery. You want to understand recovery versus a dead cat bounce. That's what we'll look at if we actually catch bounces here. I don't know it'll bounce back. Yes, exactly. And I'm in the same boat, right? I'm not saying I'm some kind of magician that knows this will bounce. I just know the risk to reward here, to me, looks more so like I would be sillier to try to build a big short position. I mean, if you're building a short position or you're taking a short trade, as in maybe just a 2-week position trade, you would look for those potential moves towards the 5, right? And then be looking for those curl downs. Now, in these moments, though, you had divergence. That's what was tough about them. So I don't think there were perfect sells in here. But as you start to break these levels and you get that retest and it breaks again, this level right here might have been the time to be like, okay, this is going to the weekly expected move, and you catch a nice, you know, almost, what is that, 6 points? Gonna be another big red day. Let's see how people are voting out there. Oh my god, the debt clock. That thing scares me. I gotta get that off of my links here. Thank you guys so much for liking today. It looks like 59% believing that we will end green. I believe yesterday, the percentages that you guys were putting out were leaning towards red, and you guys called it right. You guys called it right, and we weren't live very often. I know we saw a big gap down, but you guys were right. Yeah, we can look at like NQ, ES, all those type of things, right? We can look at this stuff. And this is actually a good thing to look at, because you'll once again notice there is nothing here, right? So that's why we're looking at individual stocks. There's really not a lot going on here that you can be super excited about for the 2 hour. There's really not even a lot you can be excited for the 4 hour. So that's interesting. I mean, ES might look a little bit better. No, it looks bad too. So this is as bad as you think it is. And the SPY in a normal situation like this, like if it's going to behave normally and not see some kind of rip, right, then you would be suggesting more so, hey, there's going to be some kind of big counter trend bear market rally that then goes up to high levels where people think it's all the way back, and then it fails, and you see this thing trail all the way up, and then it just curls down. Yeah, that's how bear market rally. I mean, look at the bear market rallies. You can go look at them, right? We've seen them before. Look at these rips. Look at this rip right here. Even this little one right here. Look how much percent this is. That's 9% in like 2 weeks. That's crazy. And then you made a double top, and then you made another reversal and you got another one. And look at this one from the low. From this low right here. Hey, look at that, 12% in 2 weeks. So you just want to be aware of these things, but you're also aware that we're losing this block in here. It's very likely that we try to go all the way down to about 5,400, and same thing would be true for the NQ. Isn't that crazy, Mr. Pickle? We see the high put volume, but we've seen high put volume throughout a lot of this. So actually the high put volume is potentially why we sold off so much, weirdly enough. People were so bearish that they don't even know fully what's going on with tariff, but you notice people were bearish enough that once some sells came in, it just trickled down. But the CPC and the PCC have not seen dramatic levels of call side put side activity. Right, we can see that plain and simple from the CPC. We have not seen that bearishness come in with the, I would say, order flow maybe with options. But it's weird because the put volume is so high. So you're in a very interesting time where it's almost like the options are neutral, but somehow everyone's bearish. It's very strange. Very weird. Oh wait, we were on a 5 minute. Let's go back to a 5 minute. That was kind of fun. So we haven't seen that wipeout of selling come in, and technically this would be divergence. Yeah, even the PCC today was at 0.67, I think, to open up the day. Well, Tyler, unfortunately, when we do some of those things, you know, we're human beings. We make mistakes, Tyler. Okay, that's first thing. Right? Don't think that I haven't made a mistake. Don't think every single person in this live stream right now has not made a big mistake trading. The better thing to do is acknowledge what can you do next, right? It can make you feel very powerless to focus on the bad thing that happened, right? And all you're going to focus on is the bad thing that happened. Well, psychology would say that what you focus on is what you're most likely to produce. So if you're focusing on the fact that you just had a very bad thing happen, then very bad things might continue to happen. And this is where we can get that flush. So this is where I want to watch. But the other thing would just be the thing to correct what you just did might not be exactly what you think it is, right? Try to open up your mind to completely different styles of trading if something that you're doing is continuing to do bad things or negative things to your portfolio, right? That means not even related to trading. It might be, I don't need to trade. I need to work outside of, right? And I say this at times. I'm not saying this is you, but I think it's good for people to hear. There's not only one option. People think that the only option for me to be a good trader is to trade more, is to take more opportunities, is to take every opportunity, is to keep trading and keep trading. The best option for a lot of people could be different things. It could be switching to investing. It could be switching to only taking month-long positions, right? That's something that really helped me when I started to really extend out my options. But I just wanted to put you at a little bit of ease. I understand you're probably not at ease right now. I understand. But what I'm telling you is try to turn it into something good, right? The person who can flip, we've said this before, trading is a lot about this. The person who can make a decision and then go through something good and make a decision that is good for them is also a good thing. But to make a decision that is also good for you that is negative is a good thing as well. Right? The person who can flip a negative into the positive faster will be more successful. And that positive thing might not even be related to the stock market. It might be related to your health right now to get your mindset better, right? Your mindset right now might be freaking out a little bit. Go to the gym, take a breathe, do something that will completely make your mind just wipe out a little bit. I used to do this all the time when I was first trading and I had my first really big bad trades. I went and I used to be pretty much a pro soccer player. So I would go and I would run 6 miles. I literally was so stressed out once about a trade. And I think it was maybe the day after Zillow and I was stressing. And I just went, I can sit here and I can stress myself out more by just looking at charts. Or I can go out tonight and try to go take a 6-mile run. That way, when I get home, I will pass out. I will be very tired. I can drink a glass of water. I can go to sleep. Then I can wake up in the morning, take a big breather and go, I made a mistake. I'll own up to it. How can I do things better in the future? That's it. Go fishing, right, Bernie? I own AMC. Red doesn't scare me. But Tyler, we're here for you, buddy. As long at least as some people who you can chat with, right? Who can give you that people make mistakes and you can always do better. We're human, all right? Nobody here is perfect. The only people who are perfect in the market are people who are cheating. Oh, AVGO. I think AVGO is interesting for sure, because this had some interesting things, right? Able to actually get a higher low, but you got to be always worried about this sideways price action. So if this 30-minute curls down, just be a little off with it. And yeah, Tyler, thank you for saying thank you. Thank you for saying good advice. I appreciate it. But really coming back down to that human level of like, am I in a good mental state is a good thing after doing something like that. And I can tell you right now that I was freaking out. I'm so glad I did not make any money decisions on that day. I am so glad that I didn't make any money decisions on that day. I gave myself that pain, right? I punished myself technically. I was like, you did something bad. Go for a run and then you might feel good, but you have to go for a run to do it. And then I came back and I was like, oh man, I'm tired. I couldn't even think because I ran 6 miles. Right? And that's back when I could run really nice. So each mile was about 7 minutes, right? 6 miles at 7 minutes, not bad. And then the next day I woke up because I was so tired I got good sleep. Do you think I would have got good sleep if I was sitting there thinking about how the mistake that I made the whole time? No, I would have been bad. So the next day, now I'm confronted with that, right? Because I'm a trader, I'm confronted with that. And I go, okay, let me look into this a little bit and let me see what I did wrong and let me see if I can make changes, even if they might have to be drastic. Thankfully, I've never run into the situation where I just completely cannot trade, right? I've never run into that situation when I was early on, and it's going to be very, very difficult for me to run into that now. It's going to be very difficult with the risk management skills and things like that. But as far as AVGO goes, divergence is here as well. Divergence holding at these lows, we'll notice from this point, and then we make the higher low. This says that AVGO potentially can curl up on the daily chart. Now, the big thing is, do we actually see closings above 237.50? Do we build up to there, maybe fill the gap, turn down dramatically, right? Maybe people get really shaken out and then we actually see that turn back up. There's a lot that can happen, but for now, we just want to pay attention to the fact that there's 2-hour divergence. If the daily confirms up, we can see an uptrend move. If that's really short, you're looking at 198. If that's pretty nice, but still going to reject, 226. If we're actually going to be able to go make a new all-time high, I assume in this block in here, we're going to see some kind of resistance and then see that thing be able to curl back up. I think that's how it gets to a new all-time high. But for now, we're still just like, hey, the daily has to curl up for us to see positivity. Anyone buying VIX puts? Martial Law might be. Hey, you know, I hope Martial Law is doing okay. Our volatility boy. Yeah, VIX though, I think for me, the 30-minute curling down would be a nice trigger, and you notice it's almost like a double top now. I think this would be a nice trigger. From a risk to reward standpoint, yeah, it would say this especially. If I'm still bearish, holding bearish plays, and I see something like this is like the opposite, right? I might want to hedge for upside. The call item, yeah, a lot of people take that call side activity. Okay, as long as we realize that IWM has not curled up on the 30-minute, right? As long as we're aware of that, as long as we're understanding and have a plan for the trade, hey, you're not going to hear any flack from me. Good luck to everyone's trades out there, right? We're just talking about potential decisions to be made. You do have reversal signals from NVIDIA, Microsoft, or not Microsoft, sorry, Meta, Amazon. But NVIDIA's failing those signals, right? Curled down, see if that thing can curl back up. But SPY here on a 5-minute, we'll see if this can catch some kind of move. But the unfortunate thing is, like, your daily expected move would only take you this far. So you really want to see some good stuff. If we break support, I'm out. Okay, yeah, as long as you have your plan, right? And that's just me just reminding you, because, and more so just saying it also to myself, right? You might hear me repeat things all the time. That's not just for you guys, right? That's for myself as well. Remind myself, hey, make sure you're thinking of that plan. All right, yeah, now think, okay, what's that plan? All right, what's the plan? It's always, what's the plan at all times? And then if the plan goes, hey, this is everything, it looks like I might have 2 hours until I got to pay attention to this again, okay, then I'll go hang out with my family, right? The point of being a trader for me is to open up my time to spend time with family. We're approaching 95, 97 percentile. You're correct. We are seeing that 2 standard deviation move. Definitely seeing 2 standard deviation for JP Morgan. For JP Morgan, and an easy way to do this is also, well, we need weekly expected moves and stuff like that up. So let me put you guys over here, and I'm going to do it on my other charts and see if we're at that 2 standard move here from the weekly. Okay, weekly, calculate. We have, where is it? JP Morgan. So that'd be $21 move roughly. So if we're at 21, here was Monday, it's Friday, here's Monday. So you are almost, you're close. You're getting close to that 2 standard deviation move. Yeah, you're like right there pretty much. You're maybe 50 cents to $1 off from a 2 standard deviation move. So you are correct in pointing out you are in an area that says, and if no one else wants to tell you, hey, there's some line there for NVIDIA, but I accidentally had the wrong chart up. So NVIDIA's actually almost had a 2 standard move too. For JP Morgan, okay, here we go. This is what I want to see here. Okay, Monday. This should be about 20 points. Oh, you are well past a 2 standard. You are literally seeing a 1. You are literally seeing from JP Morgan. Just so you're aware of this type of thing that you're seeing from JP Morgan right now, this is like a 2% chance to happen move. And it happened. And we actually caught the short at the top, but I sold that at this level, so that's unfortunate. I was going to maybe play this bounce, but I don't think I was paying attention to it. But this is crazy. You're literally seeing a 2% chance move happen in real time. If you're someone who really likes statistics and gets excited about that, man, this is it. JP Morgan is it. So that's crazy. And JP Morgan had great reversal signals just like 2 days ago, and now they're gone. That's wild. Yeah, you're past a 2 standard deviation move, though. Let's see what we can do today. What do I want to go to? I want to go to here real quick. And then we're going to go to here real quick. Some little managerial stuff, you know, super fun. All right, what do we got? Let's see what we can do here. Look at this 5 minute. And then I'm going to look over at NVIDIA over here. JP Morgan is going bleh. Even though it's at the 200, like it might even catch a bounce here. Like this is where you kind of have to bounce, but not showing any signs of that right now for JP Morgan, really. Maybe a tiny 15-minute reverse. That would be very skeptical to believe that that would be the thing to turn this around. Let's find out, though. All right, we shall see. Come on, Spy. What's going on? I think I'm ready. Laws is ready to call a bottom right now. There are recent people say that the retail panic selling has not been a part of this downtrend yet. Does that worry you at all? Who said that? Monthly expected upside for the SPY is way up there towards 620, 618.28. Yeah, I was like, who said that, first of all? And what data did they show you to prove it? Like, I need to see specific data that proves that retail is not selling with this, because I know even hedge funds are taking big short positions now. Like, yeah, Paul, that's kind of what I'm asking for. And I'm not trying to hate on anyone for suggesting that. Hold on. Last week I made like 2x, 3x on 0DT calls and puts on the RUT index in the last 2 hours of the day when it bounced or tanked. Probably not a good long-term strategy. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll show you something. Let me build it real quick and we'll do this for you. Okay, Tyler? Let me try. I'm trying to make it for you real quick. Okay. So if you see here, this is just about probabilities for fun. All right. We can see that down here at the low, there we have seen multiple rolls, right? We've seen 4 rolls. We have 2 right now in a row of black, right? So what you're suggesting is, and if you're taking trades more, right? Say we're taking all of these trades and we go, oh, okay, well, we saw red 2 times, so it has to be red again. Okay, then it's black. Okay, we saw black 2 times, so it has to be black again. That's kind of what we're getting into with that style of thinking. And we have to understand that every single day, yes, we do have those percentages. If we have reversal signals, those are actually things that give us an advantage. But technically, if you go into this market, it would say every day you want to treat almost as mutually exclusive, right? And then you would compare those to each other and formulate a plan. That's how we come up with patterns. So to do something at the end of the day with such frequency is going to be something that can make you money fast, but it can lose you money fast as well, right? Because if I just take red or black, if I just take black and I'm right, I double my money immediately, right? But each thing is mutually exclusive. So it's kind of a problem to be with that frequency, with that trade style. It would be a little bit more of a risky one because you're having to take bigger trades with not a lot of time to expiration. Now, something you can do to fix that, right? If I have a straight up strategy that says at the end of the day, if I see this, I take something for this, I would just say this. If in case something goes wrong, you know what would save that? You know what would save that? Not doing 0 DTE. Do 3 days at least, you know, do some kind of days. That way, if you see the upward move and that curls back down, you can react and be out, right? If you see this and it reacts up, and then at the end of the day, it still sees like a little lip down, not enough to get you to potentially come out at all. But if that would go down, right? If that would come down, 0 DTE would make you wipe all of that out, right? If I have this level and we see a move up and we see a move down, it is going to completely lose its value by the end of the day. So by extending those hours out just by a moment, I can allow myself to move it around, not completely lose, right? Because how roulette works is you bet the money. If you're right, you win. If you're wrong, you lose all of it. Trading is not that way. We can always make a decision to get out, right? At least in most conditions, if we're not doing something crazy stupid where no one wants the order anymore, well, then you would say there's an opportunity to get in and get out almost at all times. But that's great, Tyler. I'm glad we're talking through it. I think it's great. It's great to be looking for solutions to the problem, okay? And I think that's awesome. But it literally, the strategy, that type of strategy is a high frequency, very risky strategy that can make you money fast. That's why you got the 2x. That's why you got the 3x. That's why it was really working for you. But notice how that almost, I wouldn't call it a bad decision. I'd have to look at the setups that you had. But if we're treating it like, hey, that ended up being a bad decision, we can go back and look how maybe that wasn't the best decision, but you made money off it. Then the next time, maybe that wasn't the best decision and you made money off it. And notice how that potential, I don't know if it fully is, but potential bad decision making created a habit. And then that habit ended up biting you in the butt. So that is why we talk seriously about decision making. and how if you're going to short something that is dropping down dramatically, you usually want to wait for the test of the 5, right? So that's why during these times, people are going, I want to add shorts. And I go, well, you have a reversal signal. At least wait for rejection at the 5. Hey, we rejected from the 5. That's the time, right? This is the time. Bam. We had a weekly expected move down at these levels. We cut that thing, and I think we went to a daily expected. It was crazy. Then people here all go, okay, now I'm going to short. And I go, well, it's very overextended to the downside. We have some support there. Wait till it hits the 5. Boom. Goes down again, right? Because we wiped out that divergence point, it became very likely to take out this low and make a new one. So if a day trader or someone had the balls, you know, to take a position here short, this is at least the place to do it. Then you see the monthly move. Now at this point, what are you at? You are at a low extended away from the 5, which means shorting, starting that short again here would be almost like starting a short right here, right? You need to see something that gets that test of the 5 and then curls down, and then you have that decision to be made, right? These are just decisions that people make all the time. And retail is known for making a decision here that is completely opposite. Right? They're making short positions here. They're taking call positions here. They're taking short positions here. They're taking call positions here. Wait till something different happens, right? Wait till you have those reversal signals. It's an attempt, and realize when that's going very wrong. Okay? And this one right here wasn't like this one, right? It wasn't obvious to cut the low and go make a new one. Why? Well, because you actually have the reversal signal there and you hadn't violated it. But once you start to cut below that and you see this little retest here, it should tell you a lot about like, hey, yeah, downside looks very, very likely. We have a weekly expected move downside. We're curled down so we can get there. So let me manage my risk, even if it means on a gap I lose 50%. If I had $5,000 in a trade right here, right, to the upside, and maybe that was even green a little bit because I caught the bottom, let's say that. Okay, well, when this gap's down, I could potentially still be down like 50%, depending on my expiration, pretty much, right? Depending on how things move, IV and expiration, that thing could be worth 50% less. But would I rather walk away with $2,500 out of my $5,000 and lose $2,500, or would I rather walk away with zero? Right? Those are the type of decisions as a trader that are very mature, right? Very mature decisions. Mature, if you will. But yeah, those are the things you're going to have to come across all the time in trading. It's like for me right now, NVIDIA, I have a decision to make, right? Because of the 15-minute. If this thing crosses, I have a decision to make. That hasn't crossed yet, so I have no decision. And guess what? If that curls back up, if it gets above this high, I might even add money to the position. Because guess what? This was apparently bad news. But what if we bottom on bad news? That'd be pretty crazy. You have 15-minute little divergence right there. Let's just leave it on a 15-minute for a while and hang out. There are decisions to be made throughout a trade all the time, and there are good decisions and bad ones. And if you make more good decisions than bad ones, you are going to be better off than other people, and that's it. Right? Even if that is a negative decision, it can still be a positive for your trading career in the long run. Extending out those hours could be a good decision, right? Managing a trade to not lose 100% could be a good decision. Understanding the environment you're in and seeing another curl down and realizing it's on a gap, and are they just trying to get people bearish, and then we confirm another signal and you hold that terrible trade maybe throughout it all. That's still a decision people make, right? If they're scaling in and they have a longer out option. A lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes on. That's why I like to be pretty simple and just be like, I don't want to do all these, you know, straddles and things like that. No, I'm just going to take puts and calls, and I'm going to keep that part very simple so I can be very good at analyzing stocks. QBTS, what? They get earnings. QBTS on 3/13, so in a couple of days here. Yeah, the only bad part is, you know, we talked about roulette for a second there, but earnings is like black or red unless I'm seeing fantastic signals. So you do have a 2-hour signal here, I would say. I mean, it looks more so like divergence actually. So you see this coming down because it goes off of the close of the bar. We actually draw it from here and we go down. Okay, that's going down. This is up. This is up. But I have to understand this E, this movement here is just saying, hey, we're building up for a big move. This would suggest that if you didn't have earnings, then QBTS is about to see a big bounce. But we know that these things can fail, and something about earnings is it's 50-50. We don't know what they're going to say, right? So this would be something where if I really want to take it, right, this is how we talk about it. If I really want to take an earnings play, I'm really paying attention to the position size, right? Because I don't want to say, hey, I have, let's say I'm a little green. I have $20,000 in my account. And I go, so I'm going to risk $20,000 behind this right here. Well, then, if they just produce one bad thing, this could be down 10%, right? We don't have the implied volatility. If someone has that, maybe someone with Thinkorswim real quick has that for the earnings for QBTS. But this would more so be a moment where like, okay, it has a reversal signal. There's something risky, really risky. That's 50-50 down the line. So my position size, I don't want to use my whole portfolio. I don't want to use all the money I dedicate to even option trading. Even if I'm only doing $2,000 out of that 20 grand towards options, I might not even want to do that. So I might lower that down to an amount that I don't care as much about. And for $20,000, that might only be 1 to 2 contracts. Right, that depending on the pricing, it might be 500. I would say I would stay below. If I only had 20 grand, I would stay at like 300 and just say, hey, I'm trying to make $300, right? I'm not trying to increase by a load all of a sudden. I'm not trying to get rich quick. So that's how I look at it. But for me, with earnings around the corner, I usually just stay away from the stock. And the good part is I can stay away from this very easily when NVIDIA is looking like this. I have no trouble staying away from an earnings if NVIDIA is looking like this. Estimated move. Only 0.431? Or is that a percentage, Matthew? Is that the IV? If that's the IV, I can do a quick calculation probably. Look at some other stuff. What is this chart? So as of right now, if you do, because Paul brought up the smart money, dumb money, so I pulled that up on macro micro just to see what's going on here. We actually see dumb money starting to tick down while smart money actually ticking up from January to February. So that's weird because in February we actually experienced something bad, but we'll see. That was at the end of February. But we see that dumb money confidence is really breaking down. If you have a different chart you like, though, I always look at like 5 different smart money, dumb money charts. I didn't, David. What's the strange play for VIX? Is it a big call? It's got to be a big call for VIX, right? And what's the date on the option? So in order for me to read into an option, I need to know how much it was, the expiration for it, and when the option was placed, like where exactly we saw that option hit the tape. Because I don't pay too much. I really should. I need to do that. Pay more attention to order flow. Is this good or bad? It can just be risky next level. That's all we're saying. I try to think of it as 50-50 as possible with earnings now. Earnings has hurt me 2 more times than it should have. Over 2 million options bought from 55 to 75 on the VIX May calls. Now, since it is so far out, right? 55, I'm guessing. 55. So pretty far out there, right? If it is a very, very far out call in a bunch of contracts, there could be two things. One, they could be aware of something bad happening down the tape. It depends, right? But two, it more likely is a big hedge. It more likely is someone now seeing, oh, this is a drop bigger than expected. I didn't hedge this correctly. Okay, let me hedge this thing. It really depends on where it came into. And then I can read into it. I've seen you mention this a few times, Milk. Let's go look at it. I mean, 2 hours trying to show. It's just a very weak looking base. This looks like a weak looking base, but it's attempting to give you those signals. This might more be a decision. This might more be an investment for a few months, but I don't really like this look, right? I don't like this massive looking head and shoulders. And look, it's like almost, it's like dead even. So I don't like that. So something that I would look for here is the counter trend move to fail, right? If this is some kind of cup that comes all the way down, maybe we see another curl down to here, and then we curl up. That would be a problem if we reject again, right? Because then your potential to drop down is pretty big. But in these areas, we've seen some big buys come in. And you're noticing the daily divergence that we had here just got wiped out. So difficult one in my opinion. I just think there's easier ones out there. These are levels where you get support, but you do have ways to break down. You do have levels that can catch you on the way down for sure. 47, 38.50, like those look nice. But if this just gets some kind of lackluster, like, oh, even a lackluster daily bounce, and then that just rejects from like $70, that would be a big problem. But you can see some big volatility here. Earnings coming down the corner, or coming down the bend, a little bit trouble there. So hedges a lot of the time are done with options because you don't have to use a lot of money, and they're probably doing what we talk about a lot on this channel, right? So when these big names or big hedge funds or whoever hedges, they most likely are using an option. And you saw this actually from like, I think it was Saudi Arabia, like the government there or the big people there did this. Instead, they saw risk in the American markets, so they sold they sold a lot of their stock, but at the same time, they kept a lot, and they only did options for the plays to mitigate risk. Now, how does that mitigate risk? Because in order, an option is technically 100 times buying the stock, right? So it's like 100 shares per contract. So if I want to hedge and I have $100,000, say invested in the SPY, and I see a signal like this and I want to hedge, I could potentially hedge in these areas, maybe even in here, with only like $1,000, and then that would make up for the losses, right? And then once I see that thing build back, I can then sell that position and then be good with it. But a lot of the time, hedges are done with options in volatility because it is so cheap. So if something really, really bad happens, you're able to mitigate some of those losses. You're able to take some of those losses better. Yeah, it makes sense, right? If I have $100,000 of NVIDIA stock and NVIDIA starts to turn down dramatically, I might go, okay, let me hedge my NVIDIA stock by buying volatility calls in case something really bad happens. And then if I see things go down and down and down, if I still want to, maybe I have like one of the best prices on NVIDIA and I just want to hold it forever. Maybe it's a dividend stock, right? That happens a lot with dividend stocks because people don't really want to sell those dividend stocks. Yes, GKL, yes, it can. Not so much. You're more going to see spikes in volatility where maybe some kind of big hedge is taking place, some kind of manipulation could take place. I'm more so in the type to just be like, you're more going to see that type of stuff in actual markets, in actual stocks. Volatility might show it for a moment, but usually it balances out pretty quick. Yeah, it's harder to catch real manipulation unless you're looking at like spoofing and stuff like that, and very obvious ones like GME or AMC. But can you make a decision with that? You know, if something's, you know, if big money is, say, manipulating, aka risking their money to go against you, which is high percentage to work, it's manipulation. It still has risk, but yes, it does have high potential to work because they have huge money amounts. So if you're looking into that, you're more so like, okay, does that help me? Or should I just be like, okay, that big order came in. If this curls down, they might be manipulating AMC down. That's why we talk about actually reacting when AMC turns down, right? Because momentum will show you those moments. And we've had a lot of those, like that big flush out from GME, right? Everyone's saying this big flush out. We talked about this in the past. We're just going to do it again. Everyone said that this big flush out was, no one saw it coming. We talked about it. We talked about it all throughout this. We were saying, hey, watch out for that 2-hour divergence up towards that weekly expected move. We were talking about it. Now, that might be manipulation in some way because there was no reason that this dropped around this time, right? No real reason for that to drop that significantly for the stupidest of reasons. But this is what happened. 2-hour divergence was there. Daily divergence was there. Right? That's why I'm like, you'll still see everything react in the momentum most likely. Like most of the time, you're going to see it in momentum. I would argue about 85% of the time, you're probably going to see momentum signals when something's going to turn down or turn up. And that's because they like those double dips because they know it gets retail nice and bearish. Right? They like those double tops. Why do double tops show up all the time? Because it gets retail nice and bullish. You got to pay attention to both directions. This was a moment where something crazy could happen, but it didn't. It saw the wick come in and it sold down, and then it gapped down. And if that gap down still didn't tell you, then I don't know what to tell you at that point because that gap down curled down the daily chart. These things, you can see it in the price action, and you just have to be very confident with your skills, I think. Let's do a 15-minute, see if this thing will curl up. Oh, sorry, Duranto. Give me one moment here, buddy. Do we see any reversal signals? Did I hear what you Trump said about the recession? No, I did not. Please let us know, Duranto, what Trump said if you have a quote there. The other thing is, do we see reversal signals for the SPY? Only on the 15 minutes, something I do not put anything behind. The reason that I'm paying attention to a 15-minute or even a 5-minute right now is because, one, I think if I was a day trader, I'd be paying attention to it. But the other thing is, NVIDIA has such good reversal signals. I want you to see NVIDIA with these reversal signals. We just got the rejection for the double bottom. We swept the low with a wick. This is very nice. We can start to see upside here, the 30-minute confirmed divergence, the 2 hours confirming divergence. If the price action can get above this 9, it would say we're going to make that attempt to take back the 5 right now. It can fail. It has continued to fail over the last, 4 trading sessions? So be aware that these things can fail, but we're paying attention for a bottom right now, not necessarily because of the structure of the SPY, but because of the structure of big stocks within the SPY. Exactly, GKL. And from that type of standpoint, there are people who just wait for fear to be in fear for a week and then they just buy stocks and don't look back. I'm dead serious. There are people that do that. They just strictly do it based on market psychology. And guess what? I bet money it works for them way more than it hurts them over time. But they might use it as moments to invest, right? Those people that just put their paycheck in every single month versus those people who maybe wait for a little bit more opportune moments to put those little bits of paycheck in. Yeah, GKL, I think that's definitely a good thing is to be on the other psychological side, the side that more so sees things that other people would see as very bearish as potential, as opportunity. And that will really start, once you get in that mindset, GKL, you start to see, oh, okay, well, everyone's really bearish. We're in extreme fear. We're below a monthly expected move. We're now below a weekly expected move. And we have big reversal signals from NVIDIA. Exactly. Buy low, baby. Buy low, sell high. Let's go. Yeah, and that happens. And I can tell you that I think the reason that some people aren't used to bear market volatility, and I think that's something we need to understand, is just some people aren't used to that bear market volatility, which is perfectly fine. But bear markets all the time, you see tons of stuff like this. You'll see a reversal signal that gets wiped out. You'll see a reversal signal that gets wiped out. Then you make another one at, actually below that monthly or something like that, and it produces upside. These are little trades to be had, right? We can see how they're little trades, and as long as we're paying attention to how it behaves at the 5, we can make decisions as far as taking profit and things like that, right? This is curling over right by the 5 into negative territory. We should be very aware at this point that this could drop back down. So bear markets are like that, though. They will keep dipping down until people are as bearish as they want, because that's their goal, right? They have goals for potential, how low they want these things to go and how they want people to be positioned. And I actually think a big reason that this has continued is just because people haven't been making these super bearish bets. At least from the PCC and the CPC, I'm not seeing those super bearish bets. Willow, you think we're going to 550? I think we got to be worried about 550. I think you got to be more worried even about 540. But at this point, I think you're looking for a bounce that could then trick people to get to 550, right? I think you have a little reversal here. Let's see if we catch that bounce, and then maybe we see that turn back down. We'll see. What am I trading? Looking at the NVIDIA trade, about to complete in about, 10 minutes? So this is what I'm looking for that good closing 2-hour bar above the 9, right? So I'm looking for green to close like where that wick is pretty much, and I'll be pretty confident with it. We're not seeing that. We're seeing it cross up on the MACD, but this is a blip moment that you have to understand. You're getting that to cross on the indicator. You're getting that to cross on the indicator, but you're not getting the price action. The most important thing to me is price action. So I need to see that close above the 9. If I start to see a green bar like this, if I start to see 30 minutes confirming very well again here, I have that decision to be made. So now it's pretty much, hey, am I going to scale into this position more? We already had the data today. Today's data was the JOLTS job openings. I believe it came in, let me double check. I believe it came in a little higher than expected. So expected to come in, forecast at least, was 7.5 million. As of right now, it came in at 7.74 million. So there is an increase there for JOLTS job openings. Job quits came in, supposed to come in at 3.21 million, but came in at 3.266 million. And then later on today at 3:30 my time, Central Time, we will get some API crude oils stock exchange, right? We will get that. Tomorrow we will get the 30-year mortgage rate and the CPI. So very interesting going forward. Reversal signals from NVIDIA. Looking for that to post in 9 minutes, and I'll probably make another decision. 15-minute has not fully confirmed, okay? This is the understanding that if you're waiting for those 3 reasons, these are the obvious 3 reasons, right? These are my very obvious 3 reasons. Even if it's a 15-minute chart, I don't take trades based on a 15-minute chart, but it's here, so let's talk about the reasons. Down, MACD is up. Down, RSI is up. Okay, awesome, there's 2 right there. But one of the most important things is it confirming? Yes, yes, on both indicators. So that's 2. Right, so technically right now I have 2 reasons because two indicators have confirmed my divergence. Now I'm looking for the price action, the most important thing, the price action. Can the price action close in the next 15 minutes up above this 9? That would be fantastic for the SPY, because that would mean we're very likely to see a 30-minute move to go test the 5-day moving average. And if that's able to scale through that, if that's able to burst through that, hey, we took back the 5. That is something different. If we can hold that, that would be very different. But right now, we don't have that basing out structure. So we still want to be open to that. Even with NVIDIA's great signals, we still want to be open to this type of behavior and understand if this happens, we don't have to make that divergence point. We could fall through the floor down to 540. So if we catch a 30-minute bounce here and it rotates back down, I will be very cautious with it, okay? You can end up at 540 with this type of selling. So now we're aware of both sides. Let's see how that thing's going. Looks like we're straight up 50-50 on whether or not this market's going to end green today. In the chat. He won't rule out a recession. Well then, maybe we need to be paying attention to what the charts are paying attention to, or telling us to pay attention to. Do you know what the charts are telling you to pay attention to? This is very, very easy. You have a high, or a low, sorry. You have a higher low. You have a higher low. You have a higher low. You have a, uh-oh. You have a new low. You go up. You make a lower high. You then can go make a lower low. This is when we probably want to be more worried about stock market crash or some kind of bear market fully beginning. Right? If everyone just goes, yes, we did it. Oh, shoot. Right? And the MACD is telling you that because of how deep it is. Look how deep it is. We have not been this deep since what? We have not been this deep on the MACD since the bear market. So we could be in a bear market right now. And your MACD on the SPY, on the daily chart, is suggesting pay very close attention to a lower high. Where would that lower high happen? Well, it's very likely to happen, I would say, even if we take this back. If we reject from here, that's 1. 2 would be if we see this climb all the way up to this area right here and fail. Something right around that 600, 605 level. I think those are the 2 levels I'll pay attention to for lower high. When we do get a lower high, we normally do see the double dip to the upside, the double top, right? Some kind of double upward move that tells us there's a hint here of, hey, there's 2-hour divergence, right? So we'll be watching that. So I think you could see that pretty tight, right? Even if we get that big reaction, we could see something like that and it would make sense. So, yeah, the last time you saw MACDs at that level, you were in a bear market. We'll see if it confirms a lower high, and then it's pretty much, hey, if we confirm a lower high, we cut that low, you're in a bear market. Congratulations. There's a bullish divergence on the SPY chart as of right now. We haven't looked at IWM. There is a bullish signal, though, for IWM. You have rejection, 15-minute divergence on IWM right now. Brian says, bearish divergence I've seen on the 15-minute chart. No, this is a bullish one as of right now. Not the best confirmation, though, and I don't trade based on 15-minute charts. So if you really look at the 30-minute here, you're just going, okay, we're holding that divergence point. Am I at an important level? IWM right here, right now, this price that we're looking at this moment is a very important level. Okay, you are directly on, right next to a very important level, and you're seeing little reversal signals. I know this is complex and this looks awful. You got to get used to it because these things can turn up 2-hour charts. If you get this 2-hour to turn up, you have 2-hour divergence. 2-hour divergence like this, it's holding. So if all these things produce positivity, they have to see the buys come in. They have not confirmed yet, but this would suggest a daily upward move can happen for IWM. IWM has confidently lost the 200. Look at IWM's levels here. When's the last time we were at those levels? 2022. Okay, you are seeing bear market levels for your MACD get touched. That doesn't mean IWM is probably in a bear market, right? Because it's seen dramatic downside, so probably is, if not some kind of crash-like market at this point, right? But if this would build back, it still would lean heavily towards a lower high. So we'll just pay attention to it very clearly, and if we see weakness, we'll treat it seriously. But you can see this divergence on the 30-minute. You think there's a 70% chance right now for a stock market crash or what? If there's going to be a crash, I highly suspect we still see some kind of upside move first, unless people take some crazy bullish bets and all of a sudden get real greedy. NVIDIA has a conference next week. It should be a decently positive catalyst, and it has reversal signals right now. Maybe that's a buy the rumor Maybe it turns into a sell the news if we get a daily chart to curl up throughout next week as well. Yeah, Brian, and we can always differ a little bit in opinion, but that one seems cut and dry. I do not see any bearish divergence on a 15-minute for it, just to make sure we're clear. Something has changed before. I was like it before. Sorry. It is on the monthly. It is confirming on MACD and RSI, so I'm in, but now it doesn't work. Well, it's just you're in volatile times. So this is where a trade like water, it can really go back and forth. That's why for me, with this type of move, the last time I had these type of moves was in the bear market, right? And what I did in the bear market during those times was I started to realize that I could potentially take risk to reward plays if I want, but there's usually some stock that's going to give it to me. That's why you'll see I pay attention to a lot of different things for a trade setup that'll dictate a lot of what the SPY might do. But am I taking the SPY? It doesn't necessarily have the best reversal signals, but NVIDIA still does. Okay, NVIDIA still does, and that's the big point here. NVIDIA still has it. So if I see this confirm on the 2-hour with the price action, then I'll potentially be fully doing NVIDIA and saying, okay, I'm playing some kind of upward move. And if that goes wrong, I'm going to make the good decision of saying to myself, it is going wrong. This is not the bottom. But this is a signal you see a lot of the time towards bottoms. We'll see if it's able to happen. But look at JB Morgan. That thing ruined everything. Tesla, I think, looks... I mean, honestly, if you want to talk about Tesla, the 30-minute looks like garbage. So this is one that is suggesting we have much more downside. Even if we see an upward move, it could go down again. Where's it at from the daily scale? Oh, well, maybe we need to go fill that gap, right? We notice that if we're going to be there, we might just fill that gap. So I wouldn't say that Tesla is free from seeing any kind of negativity over the next couple of days. It does not look like an NVIDIA, right? But there is one thing going for it, and that's the fact that you have flat 2-hour divergence on the MACD, and you have divergence on the RSI that is still holding as of now. We wiped out the first one. We made a new one. Let's see what happens. Now, is this 2-hour highly likely to turn up right now? You would overall say most likely not, right? Because we just seem like we could get a relief bounce that could then take you lower after we reject from the 5, and then this would be a great signal. So if this produces positivity, I want to see if that 2-hour is crossing and we're taking back the 5. If it isn't, then the 30-minute could turn down, make this divergence, and then I could say, okay, before that 2-hour turns up, I could take this 30-minute. That way I'm in a little bit earlier, right? That's how I would look at Tesla. It's a very risky one at this point, so I would be definitely leaning towards the good decision, I believe, of taking longer out expiration in case something goes really wrong. Earnings, maybe during earnings they report those buybacks. Samson, we'll see. Why has Tesla tanked? Part of this might just be because investors are scared for Tesla because Elon Musk is not really doing a lot at Tesla, right? They had rocket failed, they had a failed launch. He's mainly focusing on Doge, right? Investors could not like that, right? Investors probably do like Elon Musk, and they do like that, so they want him working on Tesla. Maybe they're thinking that he's very distracted. Come on, corporate buybacks. I know that's the easiest time. The easiest time to trade Apple is when Apple says, hey, we're doing a buyback. Usually the signal might come before that, though. No, that's good. That's good, Brian. Keep asking questions, man. Like, any question you have, if I can't answer it, hey, I'll tell you I can't answer it. I'll tell you I don't know. I'm one of those guys. I don't sit here and try to say, hey, I know everything. I don't. But I will say, ask the question, because there's 200 people in here, and maybe someone does have that answer for you, right? Maybe someone has a link, maybe someone has a little bit of info that can make you go one step further and figure out your question, you know? Oh, Palantir. Okay, I'm so glad you brought up Palantir. Palantir is super interesting, guys. Okay, look at this 2-hour divergence for Palantir. Holy crap. Like, we're gonna potentially be putting out that Patreon video today talking about a lot of these stocks, and during those videos we have weekly and monthly expected moves up on the charts. We talk about the signals, how they could play out, how they could fail, so just in case something goes wrong. But Palantir is a big one, man. Palantir, look at this thing. Look at that 2-hour divergence. Oh my goodness, look at that 2-hour divergence. It can still go wrong, right? The 30-minute does not have great signals. You do not have divergence here. So the way that we know this is going wrong, just because we're live right now, hey, 30-minute curls up, rejects from the 5, very simple. Or 30-minute goes a little above the 5 and just rejects. Now, you can hold up better with that rejection and curl back up. It's just the risk of going down again is there if this would happen. So it'd say, maybe I want to be out of that. Once we confirm a higher low, I'll be right back in. You notice the price barely changes if we do that. So I actually really like the Palantir look as well. I've thought about this one because the daily scale is down there, but it's actually closer to the center line than a lot of stocks. I actually think Palantir has a good opportunity to potentially even make new all-time highs. From all the stocks that I've looked at, Palantir is one of the ones that I go, wow, this actually has potential to make a new all-time high. Isn't that crazy? I believe the only other one was Meta. Meta is close enough, but I don't think it looks as good as Palantir here to make that new all-time high. I think it's at risk of a lower high. And I think Palantir is too, because we need to be aware of that. The SPY is suggesting that. But Palantir, with that great of a signal and this close to the center line, that's going to be positive right away. You wipe this out. There's not a lot of resistance right in here to force you to go down, except for that 101 price point. So Pablo, that's actually the scenario we're in, that we have to pay attention to both of those. Both. So the question maybe we should be asking is, if this is going to be a little squeeze that continues downward, what would we see? And then if this is going to all-time highs, again, what would we see? Right? Maybe those are the correct questions to ask, right? So if we're going to see this break down, you could go to here. I think this, if you're going to see it break down a little quicker and make like a daily divergence, this, right? We get that to curl up. Maybe it's slow for a little bit, then we do that. If this is going to be, hey, we're going into a bear market, then most likely you do see some kind of rally that then just completely drops, right? You get some random bad news. You might not even have signals here. You got some random bad news. So if this daily crosses over again and I'm at these type of levels or even these type of levels, I still have to be watching it. Isn't that crazy? Now, I think if you want to head higher, I really think you want to see this level of about 610 touched, because I think this is the level where you start to draw that line across. You start to go, oh yeah, oh no, oh yeah, and then we head to the upside, right? So this could be, if we get to here, it still is like, hey, that could be a lower high, but we're going to watch the 2-hour signals here, and we're going to watch the 2-hour signals here. And we might get a good idea, and maybe weekly expected moves help us out a lot at those times, right? If we curl up now and then a weekly expected move's there and we get there really fast, it's very likely to see resistance. And then if we get to the downside really fast, hey, it's likely to see support. So we can really read into this as it develops, but the important thing is paying attention to what's happening right now. And I think right now you need to be paying attention to the fact that SPY does not have reversal signals. NVIDIA has big ones. Meta has big ones. Palantir has big ones. SoFi, I think, has big ones. Amazon has big ones. The last time we saw big reversal signals from NVIDIA and no reversal signals from the SPY was right here. Technically, they confirmed on August 8th. So notice it's not the exact low, but NVIDIA told us on August 8th, hey, I'm confirming and I'm ready to go. And then what did we do? We went. So you could have a little bit of rip around for the rest of this week. We have a lot of data, but let's pay attention if we end up curling up. And then after that, I will heavily be paying attention to if this is going to be a lower high. Do I think we're in a bear market? I think another move up and another move down, and we'll know. I think another move up and another move down, and we'll know. That's how I think about it. Even if that move is something like this and this, we'll know, because if support comes in here again, then I think you have potential for a stronger floor, right? Which means maybe not a bear market. But actually, the way that we know if we're in a bear market is pretty simple here. do we make a lower high or not, right? And we explain that just by going higher low, higher low, higher low. Oh, low, below the very, very good one, right? Below it. Below it. We wiped out like 3 higher lows here pretty much, or at least 2 that you would really pay attention to. So if we see this go like that and then turn down and then we cut this low, yeah, I think you're saying, hey, bear market is here. I mean, unless we see some kind of massive V-shape, we can always correct out of a bear market, like even if we go in for a slight moment, but you have that bear market behavior now. We've had it actually throughout all this, we've really seen bear market behavior. And so if we get a confirmed lower high, it would be highly likely that we are seeing that bear market right now. I mean, if you look at the bear market in the past, here's what we're kind of talking about, right? This right here. And then we bounce up, and then you hit that resistance, and you come down. That's when you kind of go, okay, we're in a bear market. And then you go lower. Right, we go lower, we make daily divergence, and then that sees a daily move up, we go to the same zone, and it rejects down. We're still in a bear market, right? This is your attempt to get out of it. If it's lackluster and you see that turn down and go negative, hey, you're still in that bear market. Okay, but you notice the lower highs are what really tell us, like, hey, we're going to head lower. So a lower high right now, since this is the first really big drop, a lower high now would be what we're paying attention to. Then we might pay attention to, oh, do we go up to these levels, right? We had that box drawn out to explain it. That box would technically be, we would have 2. We would have one right here, and we would have one right along this line right here. Those are the 2 areas that I'd be watching. So if we can blow past the first one, which I think is very likely, and we get towards this second one, I would be looking for about that 600 price. If we turn down, that would suggest we are seeing that bear market behavior. Now, we'll still pay attention to daily divergences and things like that, right? We trade like water. But, and this thing could completely go like this, completely go like this, completely go like this, completely go like this, right? It can do a lot. So the important thing is always just tracking the price action, not trying to read in too far into the future, but having those ideas into the future. Right now, I would say that NVIDIA is giving us the idea that we're going to see a rip. How high is that rip going to go? It literally could just be this and send down again. Chart the VIX. VIX is pretty simple, I think. 30-minute double top. About to confirm. This is why. And then at the same time, right, we're looking for this. This is what we want to happen, right? We want the daily scale to turn down. What's going to turn that down? A 2-hour chart. What's the thing about this 2-hour chart? It's really high up there. So another move down in the market, another move up from volatility seems to be okay. It seems to be likely, but we could reverse now with these crappy signals because you do have it triple divergence on your RSI. If you want me to blow that up and actually use a straight line so you can see, that is straight down, right? That is a downward direction while VIX is going up. This is what you want to see for that daily to turn down. So we're watching it. We're aware that it's far away from the center line, so we're aware that this could turn up again. The 30-minute, though, if I want that 2-hour to turn down, I need this 30-minute showing me some weakness, and thankfully it is. It doesn't show it all the time, but you're seeing it right now. This is suggesting right now that you could, in 29 minutes, if this confirms like that, it is suggesting that this is a bottom in some way. We're aware that volatility on the 2-hour is far from the center line, so we're aware that could turn up one more time. So this means to me, I should be aware that this is potentially a bottom. That's what volatility is saying. So be very aware that this is potentially a bottom, but also be aware that we could have one more push down to really get people bearish. And then if that thing turns around, it's good. It's a good thing. You're going to have a 2-hour divergence really close to the center line. The other side of that is if that 2-hour divergence on volatility does not confirm, we don't make that divergence for the SPY, the NVIDIA just wipes out its reversal signals, then you could experience something really bad to the downside. I'm talking 540 for the SPY. I'm not leaning towards that at all, right? I'm not leaning towards that, and the way I'm positioning my money proves it. I'm not leaning towards 540. I'm really not. but I could see how we could get there, and that's the important thing. Even if I'm not leaning towards something, I can see how we could get there, and so I can react if I see those things happen. Even if my gut is telling me, and myself in general, the signals in general aren't saying that now, I'm aware of how they could say it in the future now because I've looked at it. And meanwhile, NVIDIA at 110. Thank you for telling me, because this is where I have to start to make decisions. We have an hour and a half left in that, but the 30-minute was able to confirm here, so we're going to attempt. 500 end of the month, very possible. If we get a bounce from here, I think it's very possible. So either way. But as of right now, for volatility, we still want to be aware. That daily is still turned up. That thing is not turned down yet. But the reversals are starting. This looks like we're going to attempt a bottom in the next 24 hours. We'll see if it's going to be more complex again to make similar things like over here, right here. We'll see. But NVIDIA is suggesting that it could be now. VIX is suggesting it could be now, but VIX is more so saying, hey, still watch out for that double dip again, right? But this just means you could get a counter trend move, right? The trend is obviously down, but you can get that counter trend move, see what happens. Yeah, JPY looks like, JPY USD at least looks like it's going to see some kind of pullback for a time being. We'll see. It's a fake rebound, I think. Yeah, so if it's going to be a fake, quote, fake rebound, hey, nothing is a fake rebound, by the way. Now, it can end up trapping people, but for the time being, if a move's fake, then technically I shouldn't be able to make money, right? Well, I guess, you know, the dollar technically is fake money, right? Fiat currency. But move's not necessarily fake. There's a reason for the move. Nice pull. I know, it's literally like 50-50. I know, the JP Morgan one was rough. JP Morgan one's rough. It's showing the same things as the market, though. I'm wondering what's going on here. You're seeing the same 15-minute things, like 30-minute thing. You're seeing it right here, so it's on the 15-minute. I mean, look. So it's weird. It's going to be a difficult one. I think NVIDIA's easier now. Now, as far as JP Morgan goes, this one's interesting to me. And it could see a huge snapback because of that monthly expected move. It's just seeing something really drastic. That's most likely because they, I think they've changed a lot of their estimates. SPY to 589. I actually think 589 makes a lot of sense. You're getting this almost in between of these lows right here and this right here. There's that little box, though. I think I really want to just be watching where these resistances came in or a little bit below that. So yeah, 590. Anywhere from 590, I'd say, to 602 would probably be what I'm watching for now. If we get a lower high there, we'll see what the signals look like, but seem pretty bear market-like if we rejected from there. Yeah, the unfortunate thing for JP Morgan is the only thing you didn't wipe out was the RSI on the 2 hour. The only thing that you're holding now is this very extended divergence where the MACD is just going to the floor, and the only thing you're holding hope on is this right here. So that's something that I don't like to hold on to hope. I'd rather just be like, hey, let's see how NVIDIA goes, and if JP Morgan goes up, that's fine. I think it's high probability to see a bounce, but at least that's what our percentages tell us. That was a rough one, though. I'll tell you that. Whew, that was a rough one. Not the best confirmation just yet. Yeah, not the best confirmations just yet. All right, guys, it is almost 11 a.m. for me over here, so I do have to take off. I was trying to stay live a decent amount of time. I'm sorry yesterday kind of went awry. I still have potential stuff to deal with it today, so I'm going to try really hard to put out a YouTube video tonight, but we have a lot of stuff to deal with right now. So I'll attempt to. if I'm not able to put out a YouTube video tonight, I will still be putting out most likely a Patreon video today. And then on Patreon later, if I can't put out that YouTube video, I will be putting out those daily expected moves for the SPY and the Q. So if you guys want to join the Patreon, we're going to talk about these signals here in a little bit, in about 30 minutes to an hour after I grab some lunch. And then I got to get to some other stuff. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. Really appreciate it. Exactly, Toronto, you can. You're already seeing something crazy, especially from something like JP Morgan. It's true, Noah. That can be true. But yeah, thank you guys for joining today. Really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a better day than I had yesterday. It was pretty stressful and just trying to be calm and all that stuff in those times. I was like, dang it. Because someone was like, did you bring out your AR-15? And I was like, man, if I was awake at 4:50 in the morning, I would have. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the original JP Morgan call was good, but the failure of the signal kind of put a damper on spirits, didn't it? That's unlucky, huh? But hope you guys are having good luck. As long as we're managing trades, we should be okay, right? We should be okay if we're trading like water, managing our position size, managing our risk almost at all times, and having that plan before we go into the trade. So thank you guys for being here today. Hope you guys have a great one, and I'm out of here. I almost burped, but peace. Till tomorrow, Noah. Yeah, I'll try to put out that YouTube video, Noah. Okay, I will. But you have a good one too, my friend. Peace out, guys.